So you briefly kind of explained the, I guess those early years, but I guess I'm trying to imagine as you would start to see or know things, but how were the teenage years, and when did it play out with peers that you could see or tell them things or whatever?
For always.
High school, college, huh?
For always, yeah. I remember having a conversation with one of my schoolmates in third grade, and he had lost his grandfather, and his grandfather was there standing next to him, and I was telling him, your grandfather's okay, he's right here, and he's saying that he loves you, and the kid basically pushed me down and ran the other way crying and was like, I hate you, leave me alone.
Oh my goodness.
Because he had just lost his grandpa, and I just thought everyone could do this. Eric, it was like, what do you mean?
Right. And you didn't think you were crossing a boundary. You were just
didn't have any idea. And my dad and mom they never talked to me about it. So I would say to my Dad, I keep seeing these, what they're like angel sprites, right? They're like flashes of light, like different colors. And he'd be like, that's just a figment of your imagination. You just leave that stuff alone. I'd be like, okay.
Oh, that's what he would say to you?
Yeah. And it wasn't until I met my first teacher, David, who was an acupuncturist, and he knew because he had his own gifts. Mm-hmm. And he opened me up. And so I just met this guy, right? And I walked into his office the next 2 weeks later or whatever, and my guides kept saying, ask him, 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 ask him. And they wouldn't stop, like in that movie where Whoopi Goldberg was like...
That's Ghost, in the movie Ghost, yeah. That's wow.
And I was like, all right, I'll ask him if you just please be quiet. Just stop saying it. Because it'd been like 3 days where they just wouldn't stop, right? So I finally asked him, and he got so excited. And he's like, yes, what's going on? Like, tell me about what it is that you're experiencing.
And what age was this?
I was, I think it was right around 1999, 2000, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And he totally opened me up. But I didn't understand it at first. And then all of these old... people from my ancestors, right, kept coming up, and
through both sides or one side?
Both sides. My mom has it too, but my dad, it definitely is from my dad. My dad he never really ever practiced it. He said, don't ever tell anybody what you can do or what your gifts are. And I was like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm going to tell the whole world.
Well, he was from a different time and a different generation, right?
Well, and being raised Synod Lutheran, I wasn't raised Synod Lutheran because he got excommunicated when he went to California, and he took the bread and the what do you call that?
The wine.
The wine, yeah. Communion. He took communion at a different church, and so they excommunicated him. So I was raised Methodist, thank you, Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But there's still that very strong, very deeply embedded in him a love of God and a love of his parents and family. And I mean, he is just an amazing man, and he helps so many people in our community growing up. He just didn't say anything. He was just very involved in like Christian athletes, and they prayed.
So he was a man of service.
Oh my God, yeah, he was, and it was so inspirational.
Did you tell me your father was a football coach?
Yeah, that's why he was Christian athletes, and
oh my God,
he was very well liked in our community, and it was huge shoes to fill and to like be a part of.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand me. I just thought I was weird. I didn't understand what was going on with me, knowing stuff and also feeling so deeply too, right? How other people feel. So
Right.
I always thought, it would, I just was, I would never knew who I was or what was real and what wasn't, because I couldn't figure out what was mine and what was theirs. And I'm really, really strong in knowing how other people feel, like deep, deep, deep down. I don't know if you can see that in my chart.
Well, no, and I was going to mention that. I was going to say, I think, do you see some people in the chat?
I don't know. Where are they?
Oh, I think it would be on the side. I don't know.
Private chat?
Huh?
Private chat? I
No,
don't
not
see.
private chat.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry, people. I've never done this before on this forum,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I've done it with, with Tyson, and I used to do it live all the time. Oh yeah, Temperance said I've experienced what she's talking about when I do my mediumship.
Yes. Wow. Hey, Temptress. Okay. Temptress is one of my regulars.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So that's where the chat is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, good.
So, yeah. And I think, what you're speaking of is really fascinating. So, you guys, Laura is a Pisces rising, as we kind of mentioned, like Michael and Whitney and Billie Eilish and Demi Moore, who I met and worked with. Amazing, very, very sensitive spirit, Demi Moore. But you also have Venus and Chiron on the ascendant. You know what I mean? And so we won't get into Chiron. We've talked about it off air, you and I, in terms of just Chiron, emotional, physical, spiritual wounds and stuff. But Venus is exalted in Pisces. Okay, so it's really having agape, almost really agape Christ-like love. And so when you have that on the ascendant, you are not, you're super sensitive, super intuitive, and you see things in others that they can't see in themselves.
Yeah.
You can see the best and the worst of people, but really you see the best in terms of what they can be when
Yep.
they're on the high vibration and when they heal and when they're living from their heart.
Yeah.
Right. And with that Venus, we've talked about this, and, I think as you matured over the years, you changed, but younger, you could really love people more, like, in terms of dating, love people more than they could ever love themselves. And that could be tricky for relationships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That Venus and Pisces, it's almost like you could love a bird, a tree, a human, a dog, almost all the same. Not like in any disrespectful way, but like you.
No, I know. Yeah.
You love just
100%.
everything. You know what I mean? And can communicate probably with everything. Like you could talk, like you'd speak to the tree, and you could hear the tree. And
I'm saying, I can't everyone.
Okay, yeah. And so that's one aspect of it, right? Then also, you guys, this gets juicy. Laura is an Aquarius sun and Mercury. Now, Mercury is exalted in Aquarius, and you have that in the sun. The sun is in its detriment in Aquarius because it's at home in Leo, and then it's exalted in Aries and falls in Libra. So that's interesting in terms of just only the ego and identity. Not like when you said you couldn't really find yourself. Well, because the sun's in the 12th house, which is kind of like isolation, kind of hidden, kind of in the subconscious and private. But it's also a way that you could connect to sort of like the father, and then like the father, right? The spiritual father, and then your own father in the spiritual realm, which is the 12th house, and also the subconscious and unconscious mind. So with having the Mercury there, it's fascinating because it's exalted. It's almost like you might have experienced a lot of times where you would tell people something and they wouldn't listen, and then it would happen to them. Almost like, you know what I mean? And they would like, what? You know what I mean? And it's being in Mercury, being in Aquarius, it's like you talking literally to spirits and angels and God and aliens and anything. You know what I mean? Because it's exalted in Aquarius, and so it's very it's beyond spiritual. It's it's almost alien like, so you not feeling like you are in this realm or part of this world would be a normal experience for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Nothing. Yeah. I mean, if I told you like half the stories of the things that God has like asked me to go and do, people would be like, da, 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 da. She needs to go to that little white room over there with the straight jacket. I'm like, no, dude, it really happened. Like, no, seriously.